then what are you going to do? No, wait. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for waking up early, coming to the remembering there was a 9:30 service, and coming, the hardy few. And we're going to do a quick hymn sing, just to kind of wake everybody up. And I think we're going to do, is it number 118, This Little Light of Mine? Someone check and see if that's 118. Is it right, 118? 118. Yeah, okay. Yeah, This Little Light of Mine. We might have a couple of special verses in honor of the service today. But let's start out with the regular ones.
Good morning. Welcome to the Community Church of Chapel Hill Unitarian Universalist. My name is Jean McKinney, and I am a member of the Worship Associates Ministry. I especially want to welcome any visitors or newcomers to our church and call your attention to the special note for you, welcome guests and newcomers, on the back of the order of service. I would also like to welcome those of you who are watching us online. The lyrics to hymns and all elements of the service may be found on your screen, and a complete order of service, including this week's announcements, is available via the link in the Sunday morning email and on the church website. This month, you might notice that we have some beautiful new art on our walls, and the artist is here with us, and some of you may know her, Linda Passman. Linda, would you stand up and be recognized? So this morning, rather than our usual social Sunday morning gathering, we have we are launching the You the Vote campaign, and we hope that everyone can join us. There'll be live music, food, and lots of information about how to get out the vote and how you can help. Please turn off or silence any cell phones during our service to maintain a worshipful experience. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you arrived at this beloved place, you are welcome here. This morning we have a Share the Plate speaker for You Can Vote, Wendy Jevons.
Good morning. My name is Wendy Jevons, and I'm here to talk to what's up, Danvers?
I just got off the phone with your brother, who's like, nobody died on January 6th because it was a false flag operation carried out by the FBI.
Well, your dad told me that the Supreme Court ruling that said that now justices, judges are the experts on the environment rather than the APA, that's going to save our country billions of dollars.
Why do we spend so much time and energy talking to them about this stuff?
And why do we spend so much time and energy talking to each other about talking to them about all this stuff?
Got any better ideas?
Well, I got trained to do voter registration with You Can Vote this summer. Do you know much about them?
No.
Well, You Can Vote is a premier voter education, registration, and engagement organization and an effective, nonpartisan campaign to increase voter turnout among people who face barriers to full civic participation here in North Carolina. And it just so happens that today's Share the Plate is for You Can Vote. The other day, I went to the Museum of Life and Science and registered voters with You Can Vote. I was pretty nervous at first, but I was well trained, and other than talking to my brother about like who we should vote for, I found it to be a very effective experience. I talked to a woman who didn't think that she could vote in the November election because she hadn't voted in the primary. I talked to a Palestinian American woman who was totally not going to vote at all. She was adamant that because of Harris's position in Israel, she just did not want to vote this fall. And so we talked about all the other important elections that are happening statewide and locally. And she changed her mind. Our partnership with You Can Vote is part of our church's 8-week You the Vote campaign, which we officially launched today. So please join us after the service in the community room, where you can sign up for many voter engagement opportunities that we're offering. Working with organizations like You Can Vote, we can help to turn out a great number of voters this fall in defense of our UU values. So please donate generously and use the QR code in the order of service. Thank you.
Please stand in body or spirit for our opening hymn. One More Step. It's on page 168 in the gray hymnal.
Step This morning's Chalice lighting is an adaptation by Chalice Lighting for a Democracy That Should Be by Adrian Ballot. We light this chalice for the democracy that should and could still be. We light this chalice for the creativity, brilliance, energy, and hope that has been shared, ensuring the right to vote for all. We light this chalice because it is a human right for everyone to have a say in the way they are governed. We light this chalice for everyone that has experienced pain, loss, and anger, and more in the face of violence and injustice. We light this chalice for everyone who is directly impacted when voting rights are taken away from the marginalized. And we light this chalice for those who do have hope right now. We light this chalice for you, if that is you, for us, if that is us. May we hold the thread of hope together in our community, knowing that it may be stretched and challenged, knowing we may grow tired in the struggles ahead, but remembering in community we can hold each other up and replenish our stores. We light this chalice for all, past and future, who continue to build towards a world where everyone is respected and treated with inherent worthiness and dignity. We light this chalice to keep on working towards a world that we know can and should be.
So we'd like you to help us out with this song. You go on this. Define and empower. You'll see there's some bolded lyrics in the order of service along with the song. In this world, divide and conquer must become define and empower. So we sing that line twice and then define and empower after that. We're going to run through it a couple times before we start the song so you can learn the tune.
Divide and conquer Each week, we hold in our service time for sharing the joys and the sorrows that we have brought with us into this community. It's during this time, if you've come with either a significant personal joy or a significant sorrow, you're invited to come forward, place a stone in the water, say your name, and briefly share your joy or your sorrow. Let us enter into this time of tenderness and trust. We'll start off.
My name is Eric Conrad. I just wanted to say that my wife, Ann Gilliland, is doing well after her shoulder replacement surgery. The surgical bandage is now off. She spends a lot of time sleeping, not surprisingly, but she's doing quite well.
My name is Mary LeMay. I'm a longtime member of this community. And 32 years ago, my younger child graduated from Chapel Hill High School and went wandering over the face of the earth. She's been in New York, and Connecticut, and England, and California, and she moved back with her husband, and they're going to buy a house and stay here. And it was so nice. They rolled in Saturday night, and we took supper over to them. And then they didn't go away overnight. They were still there in the morning.
My name is Bill Rote, and Danny Gotham asked me to put this stone of sorrow in. His older brother, James Calvin Gotham, passed away yesterday, suddenly at 77. And Danny is out at the Snow Camp Quaker meeting playing music this morning, which he says will be very therapeutic for him.
Hi, I'm Judy Jansen, and I'm smiling because last night we celebrated my birthday a day earlier. And because of complications, only myself and my 3 adult children, no spouses, no partners, no kids, just the 4 of us. And we can't remember when the 4 of us were together. And we had a wonderful time. And the theme was, should mother age in place? And so it was interesting to hear their ideas, their concerns, and what I thought.
It's been a challenging week in my family's life. On Monday, my mother, Barbara Belote, passed away peacefully at home. My brother, my sister, and I were able to spend the whole day with her, and with the support of hospice and caregivers, she passed in peace. But I ask that you just hold her memory and my whole family in your hearts. A final stone is placed for all those joys and sorrows that we hold in our hearts that were not spoken. Would you join with me in a time of meditation and prayer? Spirit of life, source of our being and our becoming, come and dwell with us now in this space and this time. Be with us in the midst of memory, in the midst of loss. Dwell among us during times of healing, during times of connection, during times of togetherness. Hold us tenderly in the moments of aching pain, and inspire us to faithful and courageous living in this world. On this morning, as we look ahead to this season in our nation, in our state, in our community, let us claim as sacred the rights of voting, the rights of speaking and acting and working for what we treasure and what we hope. Be with us in the midst of tenderness, in the midst of fear, in the midst of vulnerability, and in the midst of anxiety. Let us hold a few moments of silence together as the prayers of our community, as the prayers of our own heart mingle together in the silence we hold. I invite you to be still with me for a few moments. Amen. And blessed be. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit for our next hymn of the morning. It's number 169 in your gray hymnal, We Shall Overcome. I invite you to rise in body or spirit.
Our reading this morning is entitled Prayer Ballot, and it's by Luke Stevens Roger. I walk as on pilgrimage. The altar cloths are red, white, and blue. The ushers are the women who have been running these things, who have been running everything since before I was born. I'm handed the ballot like a scroll, because the questions seem that important, ancient and modern, of what my God and country ask of me. Who? Who for commissioner, mayor, president? Who for District 8, Ward 7, school board? Who will do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly? I make my mark with at least a shred of hope that something good will come from this. And regardless, I remember the world won't be destroyed entirely by this. The world won't be saved entirely by this. Marking my vote is like kneeling in prayer, because neither will accomplish anything right away. But the purpose of both is to remind me of my deepest hope for the world that I'm trying to help create. So I rise from prayer and turn in my ballot and remember the who is me and us and we the people. And again, I set to the task that is mine, justice, mercy, humble service in my small corner of the world. We will now have a musical presentation. Oh, the offertory. No, we have the offertory. Sorry. Freely have we received gifts that minister to our needs of body and spirit. Gladly we bring to our church and its wide concerns a portion of this bounty. If you wish to donate online, there's a QR code on the back of the order of service, and there's information on the church's website. Today, our generosity extends beyond these walls as we give to You Can Vote. Remember that you can donate online, or if you're writing a check for You Can Vote, please write STP in the memo line. We will now receive the morning offering.
We're going to do a couple songs now that we'd like your help on a little bit. This first one is called Bend the Arc, and Jen is going to be our song leader here. So it's a call and response kind of song. So she'll say a small phrase, and you'll repeat after her. Then the second one is called This Is What Democracy Looks Like. And I want you to do two things in that. Number one is the count to 4, and number 2 is to say, this is what democracy looks like. We're going to ask you a question. We're going to say, show me what democracy looks like, and you're going to answer back, this is what democracy looks like. Okay? So I think you'll catch on once we get to it. We'll start with Bend the Arc.
Bend the arc and break the ceiling.
So my sermon this morning begins with kind of an odd tangent, but it's going somewhere, I promise. So one thing that you should know about me, and one thing that you should know about Marion Hirsch, our Director of Religious Education, is that we are both highly accomplished church snoops. What that means is that we both have this habit of poking around on the websites of other Unitarian Universalist churches. What are they doing in religious education? What are they doing in worship? What are they doing in social justice, in staffing, in financing? We snoop. This is going somewhere. And in all of our experience as accomplished church snoopers, we've learned that there is one telltale sign that a church is about to descend into conflict and crisis. Anyone curious what it is? Here's the telltale sign that a church is about to descend into conflict and strife. You go and you find their board minutes, and if you can, and you look at who is in attendance at a board meeting, and if there are a bunch of members of the congregation who show up to observe, to watch, to scrutinize the Board of Trustees in action, you know that there's trouble brewing. So I read, for example, one congregation's board minutes from July of this year, and the minutes reported that 31 guests from the congregation, that's beyond the members of the board, 31 guests, observers, had come to observe the board meeting. Uh-oh, I thought, they are in big trouble. And they were. Unitarian Universalist churches are structured democratically. We elect board members, and when things are running smoothly, when the membership is more or less content, positive, nobody pays any attention to what the board is doing. Meetings are unobserved, board minutes are unread. And I sometimes hear from a board member who will lament, why aren't members of the church interested in what we're doing? And I answer, oh, they would be if they were unhappy. Or I hear from a member of the finance committee who laments, why do so few people show up for the budget town hall? And I answer, well, if you announce that we need to defund a program or downsize a staff position, then a lot of people are going to show up with torches and pitchforks, symbolically speaking. Here's the truth, right? Our lives are busy. Busy with work and with school, busy with raising children or caring for aging parents, busy with appointments and commitments, and if we're lucky, busy with some enjoyment and recreation and travel and binge watching Netflix. There's this paradox to democratic systems. Systems of the people and by the people and for the people, which is that when things seem to be going well, people are likely to take it for granted and assume that it's somebody else's job. But during times of crisis, times of danger, people rush in to engage with a system that has often broken down due to neglect. There's that famous quote by Benjamin Franklin about an ounce of prevention being worth more than a pound of cure. I remember January 2017. I remember getting on a bus hours before dawn with dozens of women from our church. I remember going to Washington, D.C. for the Women's March. Who remembers that weekend? Who remembers the millions and millions of people in the streets that Saturday? And I remember thinking, if only there had been this energy, this fire, this passion, this mass mobilization 3 months earlier. I remember June of 2020, It was the early days of a deadly pandemic. And I remember masking up and heading down to Franklin Street with thousands of people to protest the murder of George Floyd. Millions of people took to the streets that June. And I remember reflecting and asking, what are the systems of community engagement that should have been happening in every county, every city, every town to prevent the degradation of our systems and the violation of people's rights and lives? What might I have done? There's an old story that goes something like this. In 1787, the framers of the Constitution met in Philadelphia to write the Constitution of the United States. As the convention closed, Benjamin Franklin was leaving and was approached in the streets by Elizabeth Willing Powell, who asked him, "Well, doctor, what have we got? A republic or a monarchy?" To which Franklin reportedly responded, "A republic, if you can keep it. A republic, if you can keep it." Those words are a warning and a reminder that there is nothing that guarantees that our country will remain a democracy. There is no guarantee. It is not ordained. But rather, democracy is something that must be created and recreated anew. Election cycle by election cycle, community meeting by community meeting, conversation by conversation, day by day. Our democracy is fragile and vulnerable, and its defense and preservation and survival depends on participation and engagement. And yes, that sounds absolutely exhausting. And it is. But it's also the way it is. It's what Lincoln meant when he talked about a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, not perishing from this earth. It's only when it's of and by that it can be for. A democracy, if you can keep it. So for my sermon this morning, the leaders of our UU the Vote team asked me to speak about engaging in this crucial work as an expression of our faith's values and as a kind of spiritual practice. In the words of Georgia Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock, a vote is a kind of prayer for the world we desire for ourselves and for our children. And I believe that it is. And I view this work, whether it's writing postcards, whether it's door-to-door canvassing, whether it's registering voters, whether it's showing up at polling places to help people exercise their right to vote, I view this work as a spiritual practice. It's good for the polls and it's good for the soul. And so this morning, as I reflect, I wanted to actually look back into our Unitarian history just a little bit and to consider the tradition of the Election Day sermon. The Election Day sermon? You might be thinking, what is that? And isn't that not allowed? Actually, for centuries, there was a tradition of holding church services on Election Day. And there was a tradition of ministers speaking before the polls opened on the moral and spiritual implications of the election, including endorsing a candidate. And in fact, it was the Unitarians' side of our tradition that developed this tradition and were most active in it. In fact, at least one reading in the back of our hymnal comes from an Election Day sermon. I'll tell you which one later on. That's not the way we do it anymore, right? So what changed? Little history here. So that changed in 1954 when then Senator Lyndon B. Johnson proposed an amendment to the IRS tax code restricting nonprofits and religious organizations from endorsing candidates, Lyndon B. Johnson did this, by the way, not out of principle. He did it because he was in a tough re-election campaign and lots of churches in Texas were working to defeat him. It was self-serving legislation. The Johnson Amendment to the US tax code is completely toothless and has never been enforced. And it definitely hasn't been enforced for the past 2 decades. See, for the past 2 decades, conservative churches have been self-reporting their own violation of the tax code to the IRS, literally sending recordings and transcripts of sermons to the IRS, video proof of them breaking the law. Thousands and thousands and thousands of pieces of evidence. And nothing. No response. They want to provoke the IRS into investigating them so that they can sue the IRS on freedom of speech grounds, a lawsuit that I have no doubt in my mind they would win. I find that history interesting. Maybe you do too. So you may ask, Thom, why do you not do endorsements from the pulpit? It's not out of fear of consequences from the IRS. As history has shown, there are no consequences from the IRS. The reason I don't endorse candidates is the same reason I would not have us pursue corporate sponsorship as a church. Welcome to the Coca-Cola Community Church. Our services are held in the American Airlines Sanctuary. Our closing hymn is sponsored by Starbucks. Right? When we shill for a product or a political party, it damages our legitimacy. I'll leave corporate sponsorship to the Supreme Court. Right? The other reason, to be honest, is that I don't do candidate endorsements because I don't have to. You know me. You know my values. There's no mystery here. You know that I give a damn about racial justice, that I give a damn about immigrants, and I give a damn about women's rights, and I give a damn about reproductive justice, and I give a damn about LGBTQ rights, and I give a damn about voting rights, and I give a damn about the environment, and I give a damn about healthcare, and I give a damn about education, and I sure as hell give a damn about keeping, protecting, and strengthening our democracy. That was for you, Mom. My mom was the biggest, so I've inherited more Bernie t-shirts than you could possibly imagine, right? In 1830, the renowned Unitarian minister William Ellery Channing gave his Election Day sermon, and in that sermon he said this. He said, our great error as a people is that we put an idolatrous trust in our free institutions as if these, by some magic power, must secure our rights. What Channing was saying is that our democracy does not exist by magic. It's not guaranteed, it's not inevitable. Our institutions are only as strong as we make them. And by extension, our rights and liberties and freedoms are only preserved and extended by our efforts, ongoing. Benjamin Franklin was right that an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure. He was right that we have a democracy if we can keep it. Let's keep it. Let's go you the vote. Our closing hymn this morning, not sponsored by Starbucks, is number 1024, When the Spirit Says Do, and there's going to be some call and response with different lyrics. So listen up to the lyrics that we're calling out. And I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and joyfully in song.
to vote. You've got the canvas. On the next one, you can choose call, text, or write, okay?
The words for extinguishing the chalice are in your order of service. Please join me if you wish to do so. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. So let's thank everyone who contributed to the service. And remember the meeting next door for getting out the vote. Please join us in singing Shalom. The words are in your order of service, so if you want to hold hands, you can do that, or you can cross your hands over your heart. Shalom, Shalom, my friends, Shalom, my friends, Shalom.
you.